This is the nth time I'm recording this. My dogs keep barking and I have to keep redoing the video. So yeah, let's come back to this. This is a video about audience measurement systems and how you measure a certain audience regarding a particular media. Right. So you have different types of media. You have different types of, as in, like, you have radio, you have TV, you have newspapers, and so on. Now there's also digital media, and the best thing about digital media is that you get on the spot, data, right? For example, you see that you have so many million views, you have so many million likes, and and you get comments, you get subjective data as well. So that's is brilliant for digital media. But then how do you do it for TV? Like, how are they going to know that you like this channel? How you're going to know you like this particular show, and so on? Uh, so you have something called a TRP rating. Yeah. So TRP is a target rate point, and TRP comes under BARC. So BARC is an autonomous body. What it does is it's a conglomerate of all the stakeholders that have interest in media, and they come and say, okay, fine, I want to measure how many people are watching this particular show. And once I do figure out how many people are watching whatever show, like which is the highest TV show that they're watching, is it news, is it serial or whatever? Yeah, see my dogs. So uh, so once they figure out how much the viewership is there for any particular channel or a particular show, they are going to give ad revenues regarding that. Yeah. So this is important because that's how a TV channel earns, or even, let's say, any media earns, because most you get newspaper for like 2 rupees, 3 rupees, and so on. And you have, again, in that you have a segregation. One you have is newspapers like Economic Times or so on, which are like high in rates of subscription, they earn through subscription. And you have the newspapers that give you more, how do you say, agenda setting related news, because the more you read it, the more ad revenues that they get. So that's how that's it. So it kind of depends on you, the reader, or you the viewer, to set the kind of content that you want on TV or video. That's kind of responsibility that we need to take. So in audience measurement rating, you have different types, which I will come to this, which is for radio, it is RAM, the radio audience measurement system. And in that, what they do, they have certain meters set in radios, not all radios. So again, you're not being watched. They go to certain houses and they say, I'm going to set a meter in your radio. You listen to what you want, and I will figure out from this meter what you're listening to, because they'll see to which channel you've changed and how much time you've been listening to this. And according to the data in the radio listing, they'll correlate this and they'll give advertising. They'll give a particular rating, and these channels can use this rating to gain more advertisers. Okay. So this is there for radio. And for BARC, it's also there. One of the most recent scams that came in was because of TRP. A particular news channel, what they did, they again, TRP is measured through something called a barometer. Yeah. So a barometer is set in your TV, just like in the radio, it's set in your TV, and they go to these households and they say, I'm going to set this meter. You watch whatever channel you watch. I will figure out what you watch. This is there's a preface that they give to the household. But what this particular TV channel did is that they went to these households and they said, they figured out which households they were, and they went to these households and they said, you know what, watch this channel, for just keep this channel running in the background. I'll give you extra money to keep this channel running in the background. And so as they did, they figured out the TRP rating started going higher. And as it did go higher, more ad revenue started coming up. And that's why this particular channel was able to shoot up to such a length in such a short time. So yeah, that's another thing that's beautiful there. The third thing is the MRUC. So the MRUC, what it does, it sends out something called an IRS every year, which is the Indian Readership Survey. So they figure out how. So you can't put a meter here, right? It takes some time for you to like collect data and then like which paper you read and how you read it, like which medium you read it from, so what kind of content you're consuming and all that. So you have this particular report that comes out every year. The last report, I think, which is publicly available, is 2019 quarter 4, and in that we find out that readership has gone down as a total completely all over India by 2%. So it's in minus 2% right now. And internet again obviously has gained such a momentum. It's in the hundreds, like even beyond 148% or something like that. TV is rising, and radio is definitely rising. So people are consuming more content on radio than they are on TV. They're consuming more content on internet than they are on radio. Nobody's reading newspapers. What a sad life. So but then now, so why is this important? Because one, the newspapers can take these data and then change their content accordingly to gain readership. Maybe they can set a goal. Okay, fine, we in 2 years we need to increase readership. And how are we going to do that? We'll look at the type of content that people are consuming on the internet or the radio, and then we go towards it. That's why suddenly out of nowhere, news started becoming, engaging. Like before even 2008, in 2008 we had like a 3-day news cycle for the Mumbai attacks, right? There weren't any controversies ever coming out. There weren't, like, if you had watched the news as a child, looking at the Mumbai attacks, you would have noticed that it wasn't as intense as someone drinking tea today. If someone is drinking tea today, they're going to put this, they're going to put that. There is amount of agenda that's going to be pushed on you, saying that, oh, they're drinking this brand of tea. Maybe they're like this, they're promoting this, blah blah blah, whatever. I'm just giving an example. Nobody drank tea. Just like giving an example. So the type of content is also changing because people want more masala. I guess again, like I mentioned, it's on us to figure out what type of content that we want. Yeah. So this is how they figure out audience measurement. And the type the okay, there are methods to recall, I mean, the methods to measure audiences, which are the recall method. You know what a recall method is. You have to remember, like they'll ask you about something, and you, if you're able to recall, they say, okay man, there's a high recall, there's low recall, or whatever. There's a consumer panel or a diary method. So here what it does is that Doordarshan does this. Okay, so not Doordarshan, Prasar Bharati perhaps. So Prasar Bharati is the head, and under that comes to which is All India Radio and Doordarshan. And what they do is they go to these houses, and again they're going to pay them 500 rupees or 100 rupees or whatever, and they say maintain a diary of what and all you're watching. Your bias is really applicable. Yeah, you can write whatever you want. If someone, like, if they can manipulate a meter, they can manipulate people. That's very very easy. So that's there. People's meter, we already saw about barometer, and chip-based remote. This is called the watermarking method. We'll come to it later. And it was, a breakthrough in creating unbiased data. Again, we don't know how much. Again, it depends on the person watching, right? So here you can also figure out. I'm so sorry. Here you can also figure out the amount of time, like the amount of time you're spending on a particular TV channel or on an advertisement also. So they figure out, this is a type of product that people are willing, and so and advertisers can focus on that, like creating more ads regarding that product. So this is how we get the types of content we do get on TV. So we have a meter display unit and a central data storage unit. This I mentioned about the meter, that is an MDU, and that MDU will send the data to the CDSU. That's pretty much it. Types of measurement, TV audience measurement. Yeah, we've spoken about the barometers over here. Just go through the slide if you want. These are all data. There's not much of something for me to explain here. Yeah, DART, like I was talking about, like they give a diary to these people, and then they write down the type of content that they're watching. Okay, and the IRS is given by the MRUC. So it takes some time for the like leadership survey to come out. It's like the census data. So if it's 2011, so that means it should have been happening. The 2011 data is not what is present in 2011, right? From 2001 to 2010, they've been collecting census data, and they provide that period's data in 2011. That's the same thing with the IRS as well. So you have RAM, about we've spoken about the meters, and there are main four cities that they focus, which is Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, and Kolkata. So BARC, we were talking about how it is a joint industry body. What that means is that there are advertisers gonna come in together. So people who want, they are the main stakeholders, right? They're the ones who have to give money to these TV channels to put in their advertisements. So advertisers come in, and then there are TV channel producers, and then there are also newspapers, and all these people come together to figure out who the audience is, what the audience wants, and regarding that, they go ahead with the type of advertising that comes in. So at the beginning, we spoke something about watermarking. Yeah. So what watermarking is that does that? There are certain TV channels that have these frequencies. Okay. So these frequencies are not detectable by the human ear. So what happens is that these when you're changing channels, and if you come across a channel that has a watermarking system, the frequency is picked up by the remote, and the remote will again store the data. And these are again in households, not in every household. Is a household where BARC has taken consent from, and they want the particular data to be reached to BARC. Yeah, so watermarking is one type of system. Barometer is focused on big data management. Again, these are uh, uh, again technical issues that you're coming over here. The amount of data you've collected from these meters, they are going to create a TRP rating system, and from the TRP rating system, we're giving to the advertisers. So technology that sits along, you have terrestrial, analog, satellite, and IPTV. Okay, so terrestrial is just that you have the diary system. Analog again is the barometer. Satellite, you have satellite, and IPTV is the watermarking system, and so on. Devices, I don't need to go ahead with that. You know yourself. Uh, yeah, like I mentioned, most accurate system of audience measurement right now is the watermarking technology that people are using. This is just a block diagram. If you want to go with the block diagram, please go ahead. So again, for advertising, they have something called a spot track. So they like I mentioned, they are monitoring what types of ad you're watching, not just the TV content, not the program content, but the ad content that you're watching. So this is where the spot track comes in. This is again a normal measuring system. And here we come to NCCS. And the next slide, it says NCCS is the new SEC. That's what I was about to get to. In marketing, we have learned like Sec A, Sec B, Sec C, and Sec D, right? Over here, you have A, B, C, D, E. They're not just five. Within A, you have A1, A2, A3. And in E, you have E1, E2, E3. Only these two have three. The rest have two. Okay, so in total, you have 12 new classifications. A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, C1, C2, D1, D2, E1, E2, E3. That's it. Like you have this type of a classification. And why this is important is because you're able to get a more consolidated and a very brief idea of who the consumer is, and what type of content they're consuming. So A1, A2, A3 will come under something called a prima view. I'll come later on. There's Sec A, and BARC focuses totally, I mean, not totally, they're like alag se, they focus on Sec A because they have more disposable income, they have more purchasing power. So they have a system for focusing on the type of content that Sec A1, A2, A3 are able to consume, that they are consuming. So that comes under something called prima view. So this is all you need to know about NCCS, and how they figure out this classification is a kind of how do you say, products that you own. It's very classist, but then yeah, I guess that's how they do it. Again, yes, NCCS is a better way. What does India watch? You can guess out on your own. So, and the rollout plan that is given by BARC is that they need to give more meters so that you have more data. So you have three types of data. You have red, yellow, and green. Yeah. So in the red, you have around 200 or lesser sample size, that is red zone. A yellow zone is 201 to around 400, that is a yellow zone, and 400 and more is something called a green zone. So you have the type of data you're able to collect from these kind of areas as well. So as of now, you have 377 watermark channels, 400. These are all facts, again, like highly regarded facts. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, 500, not 400. This is where I was coming to the sample size that we were talking about. The zones are red, yellow, and green. 200 or less is going to be red. Yellow is going to be 201 to 500, and 501 and plus is going to be green. So the type of data and the type of inference that you get from these type of samples are highly regarded if they're green, because you have more sample size. In QT, we've learned that distribution is much better if you have a higher sample size. Everything is correlating here. Yeah, you have RM, QT, everything all together. Reporting parameters, again, this is time. This is regarding time. So you have one minute by minute is going to be from watermark. Weekly reporting is going to be from the barometers and the diary method. And the release day, these are okay. Release day is something like how you have when the stock market starts and closes, right? Again, every Thursday, before it was Friday, but then every Thursday you get the data, that TRP data or however, and the metrics from the data that they segregated are which is um, the impressions, the rating percentage, reach and reach percentage, ATS and ATS universe. You don't need to like focus on this much, because not a lot of questions are going to come regarding this. And this is what I was talking about, like prima view, right? So prima view is something where you are focusing on NCCS A1 or A2, A3 sometimes, but that depends on the area. There's something called a census block, and in a census block, it defines the type of area you live in, and if there are only A2, A3 there, then they watch it, but then it's mostly focused on A1. And yeah, like I mentioned, they focus on the type of content that these people are watching, so that you can have better ad revenues coming to these people. That's it. And that is pretty much it. Again, sampling methodology is the same. Yeah, I guess that's it. This is audience measurement systems. Next you have TV, radio, and digital and gaming. I'll come to them next.